Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever felt like the harder you try to keep a man, the more he pulls away? Have you ever bent over backward to please someone only to feel unappreciated and undervalued? True attraction is deeply connected to confidence and self-worth. When a woman understands her value, she carries herself with a quiet strength that commands attention. She does not beg for love, nor does she cling to relationships that no longer serve her. This is the essence of detachment with power, an inner knowing that she is enough, with or without the validation of a man. Many women are conditioned to believe that the more they give, the more they will be loved. They pour out their energy, time, and emotions, hoping to be seen, appreciated, and chosen. But this is where the struggle begins. When a woman overextends herself in pursuit of love, she unintentionally communicates that she is not whole on her own. She signals to a man that she needs him to complete her, and in doing so, she often loses the very thing she desires: his deep respect and devotion. Men are instinctively drawn to challenge and mystery. They are wired to pursue, to conquer, and to earn what they desire. This is not about playing games, but about understanding natural human dynamics. When something is easy accessible, it is often undervalued. But when something must be pursued, its worth increases in the eyes of the pursuer. A woman who understands this does not position herself as a prize to be chased. She simply exists in her power, and the right man recognizes it. Detachment does not mean indifference. It does not mean a woman is cold or uninterested in love. It simply means she is not desperate for it. She does not operate from fear, the fear of being alone, the fear of losing someone, or the fear of not being enough. Instead, she moves with confidence, knowing that if something is meant for her, it will align without force. And if it is not, she has the strength to walk away without looking back. The power of detachment creates a shift in relationships. When a woman is too available, a man may take her presence for granted. But when she is secure enough to step back, to set standards, and to enforce boundaries, she naturally commands his attention. He begins to see her differently, not as someone who needs him, but as someone who chooses him. And this choice is powerful because it is not rooted in dependency, but in mutual respect. A woman who can detach with power is a woman who understands her emotional worth. She does not chase love because she knows she is love. She does not settle because she trusts that what is meant for her will never require her to lose herself. And because of this, she attracts a different kind of man, the one who sees her, values her, and rises to meet her standards. This is why men love women who detach with power, not because they enjoy the challenge of winning her over, but because they recognize that she is a woman who will not settle for less than she deserves. And that kind of woman is unforgettable. A woman's emotional strength is one of the most powerful forces in any relationship. It defines how she carries herself, how she sets boundaries, and how she allows others to treat her. When a woman is emotionally strong, she does not seek love from a place of lack. She seeks it from a place of wholeness. This makes all the difference in how men perceive and respond to her. Many women fall into the trap of thinking that by constantly proving their love, they will earn commitment and devotion. They overcompensate, giving more than they receive, tolerating behavior they shouldn't, and waiting for someone to appreciate their worth. But love does not work that way. A man does not fall in love because a woman gives endlessly. He falls in love when he recognizes that her presence in his life is a privilege, not a necessity. Desperation is a repellent. When a woman operates from a place of fear, fear of being alone, fear of losing a man, she unconsciously weakens her position. She becomes overly accommodating, afraid to say no, and hesitant to set boundaries. She thinks that by always being available, always forgiving, and always adjusting, she will secure a man's love. But in reality, she achieves the opposite. Men instinctively respect women who respect themselves. Emotional strength is about knowing when to walk away, when to say no, and when to demand better. It is about understanding that love is not something to be begged for. It is something that must be freely given. When a woman is emotionally strong, she does not react out of desperation. When a man pulls away, she does not chase or beg for his attention. Instead, she remains centered, allowing him to feel the weight of her absence. This, in turn, forces him to reflect on what he stands to lose. A woman with emotional strength knows that she does not need a man to complete her. She understands that love should add to her life, not become her entire existence. This mindset shifts the dynamic of relationships. She is not afraid of being single, nor does she compromise her standards for temporary companionship. And because of this, she attracts men who value and respect her, rather than those who take advantage of her kindness. Desperation seeks validation, but emotional strength stands in self-assurance. A woman who radiates confidence does not chase affection, she draws it in naturally. She does not settle for half-hearted love because she knows she is worthy of something deeper, and when a man encounters such a woman, he recognizes her rarity. He sees that she is not someone who can be manipulated or taken for granted, and this makes her presence in his life all the more meaningful. Men may be drawn to beauty, but they stay for emotional strength. A woman who carries herself with confidence, who does not beg for love, and who knows her worth, will always command a different level of respect. And that is why men love women who are emotionally strong, because strength, not desperation, is truly irresistible. A woman's value is not determined by how much she gives to a man, but by how much she values herself. When a woman understands this truth, she stops overextending herself to prove her worth. She realizes that true love and respect are never earned through excessive effort, but rather through an unwavering sense of self-worth. A woman who carries herself with dignity, who knows when to walk away, and who refuses to accept less than she deserves, automatically commands the attention and admiration of men. Men are wired to appreciate what they believe is valuable, and the perception of value is often linked to rarity. This is why things that are difficult to attain, whether in relationships, business, or life, are naturally respected. The same principle applies in love. When a woman makes herself too available, too forgiving, and too willing to tolerate mediocrity, she diminishes her perceived value. Not because she is not valuable, but because she is presenting herself in a way that makes her seem easily replaceable. A woman who understands her value does not feel the need to prove it. She does not chase after a man's approval, nor does she lower her standards for fear of being alone. She knows that her presence in a man's life should be a privilege, not a given, and because of this, she naturally commands a different level of respect. A man will think twice before mistreating a woman who is willing to walk away from disrespect. He will not take her for granted because he understands that she is not someone who will tolerate being undervalued. There is a psychological shift that occurs when a woman operates from a place of self-worth. A man who knows that a woman has the strength to leave if she is not treated right will be more intentional in his actions. He will be more thoughtful, more careful, and more appreciative. On the other hand, when a woman constantly gives, forgives, and accepts behavior that does not align with her standards, a man learns that he does not have to give his best because she will stay regardless. The most attractive quality in a woman is not just her looks or charm, but her ability to set boundaries. A woman who can say no when necessary, who does not fear losing a man if he cannot meet her standards, and who is willing to detach when she is not valued, is a woman who will always stand out. Men respect what they cannot easily have, and they cherish what they fear losing. This is why men love women who know their value, not because they enjoy the challenge, but because they recognize that such women do not settle. A man who truly values a woman will step up to meet her standards, while those who only seek convenience will walk away. Either way, she wins, because a woman who values herself will never accept anything less than what she deserves. There is a common misconception that detachment means a woman is cold, uninterested, or emotionally unavailable. But true detachment is not about shutting people out. It is about maintaining self-respect and emotional balance. A woman who practices detachment with power does not push love away. She simply refuses to cling to relationships that do not honor her worth. She is fully capable of loving deeply, but she does so from a place of confidence, not desperation. Many women fear that if they do not constantly express their affection or prove their loyalty, a man will lose interest. This fear leads them to overextend themselves, giving more than they receive and tolerating behavior that does not align with their true desires. But love that requires self-sacrifice at the cost of self-worth is not love. It is emotional dependence. A woman who understands this does not feel the need to chase, beg, or convince a man to choose her. Instead, she allows him to show through his actions whether he is truly worthy of her energy. Detachment is not about withholding love or playing games. It is about balance. It is the ability to love someone while still maintaining a deep connection to oneself. A woman who practices detachment does not lose herself in a relationship. She continues to nurture her passions, maintain her individuality, and uphold her standards. She does not allow her happiness to be entirely dependent on another person's actions or approval. And because of this, she remains attractive, intriguing, and respected. Men are naturally drawn to women who have a strong sense of self. They appreciate a woman who loves them but does not revolve her entire world around them. When a woman maintains a level of detachment, she creates space for a man to pursue, to invest, and to appreciate her presence. If she is always available, always accommodating, and always putting his needs above her own, he may begin to take her for granted. But when she holds her own, when she prioritizes herself as much as she prioritizes the relationship, she commands a different level of respect. This balance is key. Detachment does not mean ignoring a man's needs or failing to express love. It means knowing when to step back, when to say no, and when to allow space for him to step forward. It is about creating an environment where both partners are equally invested rather than one person carrying the entire emotional weight of the relationship. A woman who practices detachment does not tolerate inconsistency. She does not entertain half-hearted effort or settle for uncertainty. If a man is unsure about her, she does not try to convince him otherwise. She lets him go because she knows that the right man will not need convincing. The right man will recognize her value and meet her with the same level of commitment and clarity. Men love women who detach with power because these women embody strength, self-assurance, and emotional security. They are not cold, but they are also not easily swayed. They love, but they do not beg. And in doing so, they inspire the kind of love that is rooted in mutual respect and genuine desire, not obligation or convenience. There is a natural psychology behind attraction, and one of the most undeniable truths is that men are wired to pursue, to conquer, and to value what they feel they have earned. This is not about playing mind games or manipulating emotions. It is about understanding human nature. When something comes too easily, it is often taken for granted. But when something requires effort, investment, and intentional pursuit, it is appreciated on a much deeper level. When a woman is too available, overly accommodating, and constantly prioritizing a man above herself, she unknowingly removes the very challenge that makes him value her. If she is always the one initiating conversations, always the one making compromises, and always the one waiting for his attention, she does not allow him the space to step up and claim her with confidence. Instead, she puts herself in a position where he feels no urgency, no fear of losing her, and no real reason to rise to the occasion. Men are naturally more engaged when they feel a sense of purpose in their pursuit. This is why relationships where a woman maintains her independence, her standards, and her sense of self are far more fulfilling and long-lasting. It is not about withholding love or being distant. It is about creating a dynamic where both individuals are actively choosing each other. Rather than one person doing all the emotional labor, a woman who understands this does not make herself too easy to access. She does not drop everything the moment a man calls, nor does she sacrifice her own needs in an attempt to win his affection. She allows a man to show his intentions through his actions rather than assuming his feelings based on words alone. She does not rush the process or try to force a deeper connection. She lets him invest at his own pace while observing whether his actions align with his words. The beauty of this approach is that it naturally filters out the men who are not serious. A man who is only interested in convenience will quickly lose interest when he realizes he has to put in effort. But a man who genuinely values a woman will not be deterred by the challenge. He will rise to meet it. He will show consistency, effort, and intention because he recognizes that a woman who values herself is a woman worth pursuing. Women sometimes fear that by not always being available, they will lose a man's interest. But the reality is that men lose interest when they feel no sense of urgency, no reason to step forward, and no risk of loss. A woman who knows how to detach with power creates a dynamic where man must be fully present, fully engaged, and fully intentional if he wants to be in her life. This is why men love women who maintain a level of challenge, not because they want to struggle, but because they want to feel that the love they receive is earned, valued, and reciprocated. The right man does not fear effort, he embraces it. And when he finally wins the heart of a woman who knows her worth, he cherishes it all the more. One of the most powerful qualities a woman can possess is self-sufficiency. It is not about rejecting love, avoiding relationships, or refusing help. It is about knowing that her happiness, her peace, and her sense of fulfillment do not depend on another person. When a woman stands firmly in her own identity, her energy shifts. She is no longer looking for someone to complete her, but rather she is open to sharing her already complete life with the right person. This level of self-assurance is incredibly attractive to men. Many women have been conditioned to believe that they need to be dependent on a man to feel secure, whether emotionally, financially, or socially. This mindset often leads to attachment out of fear rather than genuine connection. A woman who does not believe in her own ability to stand on her own will cling to relationships even when they are unhealthy. She will tolerate disrespect, inconsistency, and neglect simply because she fears being alone. But a self-sufficient woman operates from a completely different perspective. She does not stay in a relationship because she needs to. She stays because she chooses to. Men are deeply drawn to women who exude confidence in their independence. This does not mean a woman must be rich, highly successful, or entirely self-reliant in every aspect of life. It simply means that she does not look to a man as her sole source of happiness or stability. She has her own ambitions, her own passions, and her own emotional grounding. This makes her presence in a man's life feel like a true partnership, rather than a burden or an obligation. A self-sufficient woman knows how to enjoy life on her own. She is not waiting for a man to give her permission to experience joy, travel, pursue her dreams, or cultivate meaningful friendships. She does not place her entire sense of self-worth in whether or not she is in a relationship. Because of this, she does not enter into relationships out of desperation. She enters them from a place of abundance. And men respect this. They are drawn to women who bring something to the table beyond just their desire for companionship. This does not mean a woman has to do everything alone or reject a man's support. True self-sufficiency is about balance. It is the ability to stand on one's own while also being open to love, connection, and partnership. A man feels a deeper sense of appreciation for a woman who does not demand his presence but welcomes it. He knows that she is not with him because she fears being alone, but because she genuinely enjoys his company. When a woman radiates this kind of confidence, it changes the dynamic of relationships. She does not settle for half-hearted effort. She does not chase affection, and she does not beg for love. She understands that she is whole on her own, and that any man who enters her life must complement her, not complete her. And that is why men love women who are self-sufficient, because their love is given freely, never out of fear, but always out of choice. A woman who knows her worth, who loves without fear, and who walks away from what does not serve her is a woman who commands deep respect and admiration. She does not chase love, nor does she beg for attention. She simply exists in her power. And the right man recognizes it. Men are naturally drawn to women who detach with confidence, not because they are unavailable or distant, but because they embody strength, self-respect, and emotional balance. They understand the power of their presence and never allow desperation to dictate their choices. They create an environment where love is freely given, not coerced or earned through sacrifice. This is why men love women who detach with power, because these women understand that true love is not about clinging, but about choosing. It is not about fear, but about faith. It is not about proving worth, but about knowing it. And in this knowing, they inspire a love that is deep, lasting, and built on mutual respect. A woman who can stand on her own, love without losing herself, and walk away when necessary will always be unforgettable. She does not settle, she does not beg, she does not fear, she simply radiates confidence. And in doing so, she attracts the kind of love that is real, rare, and deeply valued.